I am leaving here with the Nobit Surakagi. I can pay for it with money, or I can pay for it with blood.
In that case, to business, Mr. $2 million.
My name is Lo Wang. Let's make a deal.
Everybody was fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. And fact was a little bit frightening. But it fought with expert timing. There were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up. They were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part. From a fainting to a slip, and a kicking from the hip. Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Shadow Warrior is a reboot of a classic first-person shooter of the same name. In recent years there's been quite a few of these reboots, like Serious Sam 3, Painkiller Hell and Damnation, and Duke Nukem Forever. Shadow Warrior is better than all of those, and offers some of the most fun, old-school violence of any release in the last 5 years. This game really feels like a natural evolution of the 90s shooters. There's a lot of things to kill in a spectacularly bloody fashion, there's outrageous weapons at your disposal, and there's very little semblance of a plot. It's a game about killing lots of things. Humans, demons, spirits, rabbits, cars, scooters, vending machines. Nothing is safe from the wrath of Lo Wang, who is essentially a Japanese Duke Nukem with a penchant for sword fighting. Like the Duke, Lo Wang quips his way through the bloodbaths with terrible one-liners and macho statements. I'm beginning to find this style of humour a bit stale now, and Shadow Warrior didn't do much to change my mind. There is the occasional line that's funny in a so bad it's good way, but this type of comedy was sharper and wittier 2 decades ago in the old Duke Nukem games. That's not to say it's annoying though, and Lo Wang is an endearing character, if only for his ridiculous fighting abilities. Shadow Warrior accomplishes what few games manage. For the whole game I felt like a sword-fighting, gun-toting god, and yet the game rarely feels too easy. Other than the boss fights, most individual enemies don't present much of a problem. However, let yourself get overwhelmed by the dozens of demons that the game throws your way at once, and you'll be quick to fall. Lo Wang is always outnumbered, but never outgunned. I spent half the time in combat using the sword, but the other weapons never felt superfluous. There's the usual pistol and submachine gun, but the most fun ranged weapon is the crossbow. One-shotting enemies with bolts is always satisfying, but the crossbow is at its best after a few upgrades. The top tier upgrade allows for explosive bolts to be fired, which can be manually triggered. Watching the fountain of blood erupting from a dozen dead demons, killed by your strategically placed bolts, is immensely satisfying. The main event of Shadow Warrior though, is the swordplay. While you can mindlessly hack and slash your way through waves of enemies, it's best to utilise the combos that you'll unlock as you advance in the game. The combos are achieved by double tapping one of the movement keys, then holding the left or right mouse button. It sounds fiddly, but it works well, and I was surprised by how quickly it became instinctual. For example, early on the player is given a healing ability. This doesn't slow down the gameplay as much as you might expect, and you are able to slash or shoot while slowly recovering health. It also doesn't make the game too easy, with the ability only healing up to a certain percentage of health. Often, knowing when to heal or fight, or both, will mean the difference between life and death. While I often find upgrade systems a bit tacked on and unnecessary for many games, in Shadow Warrior's case it works nicely. By the nature of the genre, games where you kill waves and waves of enemies can get a bit monotonous. However, being granted special powers, weapons and upgrades as the game progresses keeps the gameplay fresh. It also gives a sense of progression and advancement in a game where the story does little to keep the player interested. Shadow Warrior's graphics aren't anything special. It isn't exactly cutting-edge technology, and the game looks a little less polished than its £29.99 price tag might suggest. The art and level design is great though. Areas feel expansive and distinct, and it often feels like you're playing through a grindhouse martial arts film, cherry blossoms and all. Above all, this game is just bloody good fun. If you're a fan of shooters, or just having a good time, then Shadow Warrior is a good bet. It's not the deepest game ever, and it has little narrative, and it won't amaze you graphically. However, Shadow Warrior is here to let you kill lots of things in lots of different ways, and it does that very, very well.